Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever given someone everything you had and still felt like it wasn't enough? Have you ever stayed up at night worrying about someone who was sleeping just fine without a single thought about you? Have you ever emptied your bank account, canceled your plans, swallowed your own pain, and showed up for someone only for them to disappear the moment you needed them back? If you're nodding right now, stop what you're doing and listen to every single word I'm about to say. Because what I'm going to share today is something most people never figure out until it's too late, until they've given away the best years of their life, until they're sitting alone, burned out, broken, asking themselves, why do I always end up here? This is not about being cold. This is not about turning your back on the world. This is about the 5 types of people that are quietly, slowly destroying you from the inside. People you probably love deeply. People you would do anything for. People who have looked you in the eyes and let you believe they care. I've been there. I was the person everyone called when life fell apart. The one who answered at midnight. The one who lent money I didn't have. The one who sat through the same story for the 100th time, still pretending to have new answers. I gave and gave and gave until there was nothing left of me. And the moment I needed someone to show up for me the same way I had shown up for them, silence. That silence taught me something that changed my life forever. Not everyone deserves the depth of what you carry inside you, because some people have a pattern, a way of pulling everything out of you and leaving you standing there empty, wondering what happened. Pay close attention, because once you see these 5 types of people clearly, you will never look at your relationships the same way again. Number 1. The person who only remembers you when they need something. Think about someone in your life you haven't heard from in weeks, maybe months, someone you used to be close to, someone you sacrificed for. Now think about the last time they reached out. Was it just to check on you? Was it because they were thinking about you? Or was it because something went wrong and they needed you to fix it? This person does not miss you. They miss what you do for them. There is a devastating difference between those 2 things, and most kind-hearted people spend years confusing one for the other. They show up glowing when they need something. They say all the right things. They make you feel chosen, special, needed. And because you love them, you give everything again. Your time, your energy, your strength. You give it freely because that's the kind of person you are. And then they get what they need, and they disappear, until next time. Think about how many times you've dropped your own needs the moment this person called. Think about how many times you pushed your own pain to the side because their crisis felt more important. Think about how many nights you stayed up worried about someone who was sleeping peacefully without a single thought about you. That is not love. That is you being used by someone who has quietly learned that you will always say yes. Here is the question that will set you free. When did this person last reach out when they didn't need anything? When did they last check on your heart the way you've checked on theirs? If you cannot remember, you already have your answer. You are allowed to love someone from a distance. You are allowed to care without carrying. Stop being someone's emergency contact when they won't even answer the phone, when you are the one who is struggling. Number 2. The person who is in love with their own pain. This one will confuse you because it looks so much like genuine suffering. This person comes to you broken, overwhelmed, and because you have a good heart, you sit with them. You listen. You stay up late trying to help them find a way out. You give them your most honest advice, your deepest care, your best thinking. And then something happens that doesn't make sense. You offer a solution. They say it won't work. You offer another one. They say it's too hard. You break down exactly what they need to do step by step. They look at you and say, you just don't understand. Weeks pass. Months pass. You have the same conversation again, the same pain, the same problem. Nothing has changed. If anything, the story has gotten bigger, more impossible. Here is the truth that will hurt to hear. Some people do not want their problem solved. Their pain is giving them something. Maybe it's the attention it brings. Maybe it's an excuse to stay still and avoid the terrifying work of actually changing. Maybe it's a way to keep people close, because as long as the problem exists, you'll keep showing up. Every time you arrive with solutions, you are feeding a cycle that keeps them stuck. Your kindness is being used as permission to stay broken. Real love sometimes means saying, I believe you are capable of more than this, and then stepping back and letting them discover that for themselves. If someone has been carrying the same problem for years and rejecting every answer you give, that problem is not something they want to leave behind, and you cannot drag someone out of a fire they are choosing to stay in. Stop setting yourself on fire, trying to light the way for someone who keeps blowing out the flame. Number 3. The person who takes your help and then blames you when things fall apart. This one doesn't just drain you, this one damages you. You know this person. They come to you lost and overwhelmed, and because you care, you pour yourself out. You give them real advice, thoughtful advice, The kind that costs you something to give. They take it, thank you, tell you how much you mean to them, and walk away feeling hopeful. And then something goes wrong. And suddenly, it's your fault. You told me to do this. If I hadn't listened to you, none of this would have happened. I should have known better than to trust your advice. And because you have a tender heart, you start to believe them. You question yourself, you lose sleep over it, you wonder where you went wrong. You carry guilt that was never yours to carry. Let me say this clearly. You are not responsible for what someone else chooses to do with their own life. You gave them your honest, caring best. You did not force them. You did not follow them and make their decisions for them. They chose, and that choice belongs entirely to them. The moment someone turns your kindness into a weapon against you, understand what is really happening. This person does not know how to take responsibility for their own decisions. And so they reach for the nearest available person, the one who cared enough to help, and they make that person the villain. If you stay in this cycle, every failure they have will eventually carry your name on it. Their bad choices will become your fault. Their unhappiness will become something you caused. And you will spend your life walking on eggshells, trying to help someone who punishes you for trying. That is not a relationship. That is a trap, and you are allowed to walk out of it. Number 4. The person who is secretly competing with you while smiling to your face. This is the one that breaks people quietly, slowly, over years, because this person doesn't look dangerous. They look like a friend. They show up sometimes. They say the words, but there is something slightly wrong, something you feel before you can explain it. When you share good news, they congratulate you, but the warmth isn't really there. Just behind the smile is something flat and strange that they quickly cover up. When you share a dream, they don't cheer. They question. They list reasons it might not work, not like a caring friend who wants you to be prepared, but in a quiet, deflating way that leaves you feeling smaller than before you spoke. When you succeed, they immediately mention something bigger they have done. When you struggle, they seem suspiciously calm, almost comfortable, like part of them is quietly relieved. This person measures themselves against you constantly. Your growth makes them feel like they are falling behind, so they do just enough to stay close, but never enough to actually push you forward. Because if you rise too high, the gap becomes something they cannot live with. The worst part is that if you share your deepest fears with this person, they will remember them. Not necessarily to destroy you on purpose, but in their quiet war with themselves. Your vulnerabilities are useful. Ask yourself this: after spending time with this person, do you feel energized or drained? Do you walk away inspired, or do you feel a strange heaviness you cannot quite name? That heaviness has a name. It is the weight of someone else's envy pressing down on your spirit, one invisible brick at a time. Protect your dreams fiercely. Not everyone standing close to you is standing in your corner. Number 5. The person who wants to be rescued but refuses to be saved. This one will bring you to your knees if you let it, because this person often has real pain, real wounds that make you want to give everything you have just to see them okay again. And you do. Over and over, you do. You carry them when they cannot walk. You speak life into them when they have forgotten how to believe in themselves. You stay when everyone else leaves. You love them loudly and with everything inside you, but they keep going back to the same patterns, the same destructive choices, the same cycles you have watched them suffer through 100 times before. And every time they fall, you catch them. Every time they break, you put them back together. Every time they start over, you pour your hope and your belief and your precious energy into them like your love alone can fix what is broken. But here is the most painful truth in this entire video. You cannot want someone's healing more than they want it themselves. You cannot carry a person up a mountain they are refusing to climb. All you are doing is destroying your own legs on a journey they were never willing to take. There is a gut-wrenching moment when you have to ask yourself a question that will hurt more than almost anything you've ever felt. Am I actually helping this person, or am I just making it easier for them to stay broken? Because sometimes your constant catching and your relentless rescuing is removing the very consequence that would have finally made them change. Sometimes stepping back is not abandonment. Sometimes it is the most powerful act of love you will ever perform. You are not a hospital. You are not a bottomless well. You are a human being with your own wounds and your own life that deserves to be lived fully. And you cannot live it if every piece of yourself is being poured into someone who keeps walking away empty on purpose. So, let's bring this home. The person who only calls when they need something. Stop being on demand for someone who vanishes once the crisis is over. The person who loves the problem more than the solution. Stop exhausting yourself trying to pull someone from pain they are not ready to leave behind. The person who takes your help and blames you when things fall apart. Stop carrying the weight of choices that were never yours to make. The person competing with you while pretending to be your friend. Stop handing your dreams to someone who measures themselves against you in the dark. The person who wants to be rescued but refuses to change. Stop sacrificing your healing for someone who hasn't decided to begin theirs. I know this is not easy, because these 5 types of people are rarely strangers. They are often the people you have loved the longest. The people who know your history and the sound of your laugh when something is truly funny. But here is what nobody tells you. Every drop of energy you pour into someone who takes without giving is energy you are stealing from your own dreams, from your own healing, from the people in your life who actually see you, who actually celebrate you, who show up for you the same way you have always shown up for everyone else. Those people exist, ones who will check on you not because they need something, but because they heard something different in your voice and couldn't stop thinking about it. Ones who cheer for your wins like it's their own victory. Ones who stay even when staying is hard. You deserve those people. You deserve to be held the same way you have been holding everyone else. But you will never have room for them as long as your arms are full of people who were never meant to stay. So here is your one thing, just one. Think of one person from this video. One whose face came to mind the moment I started talking. One you've been making excuses for. One you keep going back to, even though it costs you every single time. Now ask yourself this and really sit with the answer. What would my life feel like if I finally stopped giving that person what they have not earned? Not what would their life look like. What would yours look like? Because the most important relationship you will ever have is the one you have with yourself. And every time you abandon your own peace to rescue someone who refuses to be saved, you are sending yourself a very quiet, very dangerous message. That message says, everyone else matters more than you do. Today, you decide to change that message. Because you have always deserved better. You just forgot to believe it.